for the first time in history, we will be able to become our own central bank. People say, well, what does that mean and how do we do that? Well, Rob talked about peer-to-peer, direct. I call it Venmo without the middleman. That's the easiest way to look at it for the average person. But in parlance, John Michael, you get involved in decentralized assets like XRP, things outside of their system they can't control, having a hardware wallet.
I remember, Rob, I don't remember, 20, 30 years ago, whatever it was, AOL came out, the whole internet was, kind of, well, Al Gore took credit for it, but kind of being born. And I always remember back then I'd say, what? I mean, people will shop online and put their credit card there and I said, I'm never going to do that. I remember being one of those guys. And of course, my entire life and world runs that way. To your point, that welcome the new, it'll be better. And now we're going to have conversations down the line about the pros and cons of this, about AI, and certainly now with off-world issues that the president is bringing finally to the surface since Eisenhower for all of us. These are for different programs. But thank you, Rob, for really doing a great job in putting this into perspective for us at a high level, but at a way we can all understand. John, I'd like you to weigh in on cryptos, and also if you can provide, a directory or a place that people can explore these things a little bit further as a value to the audience as well.
Well, I mean, Rob laid it out really beautifully. As you said, sort of the structural genesis of the whole blockchain process. So I don't have a whole lot to add as far as that, but I would just, my personal and our team's personal ethos is the key is becoming your own central bank. We have been talking about being enslaved by central banks. Now, for the first time in history, we will be able to become our own central bank. People say, well, what does that mean and how do we do that? Well, Rob talked about peer-to-peer, direct. I call it Venmo without the middleman. That's the easiest way to look at it for the average person. But in parlance, John Michael, you get involved in decentralized assets like XRP, things outside of their system they can't control, having a hardware wallet. I personally use Decent. I like them. I've had good success with them. Haven't had any hacking or encryption issues. So I would encourage people to look into the Decent wallet, how it operates. It's got a wide berth of rainbow platforms for all the different assets out there, tokenized assets, I might add. Things like XRP, XLM, XTC, gold, silver, copper. That's what's backing it with utility and real-time transactions, like Rob said. Quant, Shiba Inu. Shiba is a great example because Ethereum has ruled the roost with a monopoly to this point. You've had to get a lot of tokens from them and their subset of directory. You have to pay, like Rob was saying, essentially whatever the rate would be, 2-3% gas fees, which is them just charging you because they can. You have to go through them, and they were controlling the monopoly on it. Now, getting into your own decentralized world, you're not relying on them. So Shiba is going to eventually at some point create the Shibaverse 2.0. Will have its own subset of blockchain assets that you can get from them away from somebody like Ethereum. Now, that's not to say Ethereum's not going to thrive wildly. They will, because Kevin Warsh is massively a proponent of Ethereum. He has a lot of it. The point is, these are techniques and ways in which you can become your own central bank, get out of their system, and as your promo talked about, control those financial flows in your favor instead of always being at a disadvantage. I would like to bring up one seminal point. It's not directly related to this, but it's important. This goes back to what you talked about, John Michael, with taxation. Another misconception people have is about debt. Now, I know a lot of people, they have credit card, they have student loans, they have car payments, medical issues. Those are very real things. I'm not discounting that. I've certainly had some of those in my past, so I can appreciate and empathize with people on that. But debt itself is usury and it's artificial. And the real debt, I've actually had Bill Holter, I've had Lynette Zhang, you had her on your promo. She's been a great contributor to our podcast in the past. We've had some really nice deep dive discussions on these subjects. And both she and Bill concurrently believe that the real rate of debt in the world, mostly in America, is 320 trillion, not 39 trillion. But here's the good news, John Michael. 90+% of that is not consumer debt. That's deep state debt. So President Trump, by bringing in this new system, tokenizes, brings God's money back to the people in a variety of mechanisms we've already discussed. But he also basically sticks that invoice, that debt, back onto the deep state for all the printing, pedophilia, the trafficking, the money laundering, the DOGE malfeasance, the corporate malfeasance, the misappropriation. You go on and on and on. The list goes on. We've been screwed 6 ways to Sunday so much we don't know the difference anymore. But President Trump does. They've got all this stuff in the computer. They've got it all categorized. The OFAC list, here's a great resource, John Michael, the Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC list, the Treasury cops that basically crack down and bust the, as you say, cojones of every single nation in the world in alphabetical order. There's more Muhammads there than you can shake a stick at. But all these people, you don't know their names, but you know who they've contributed to. They've contributed to the Bushes, the Clintons, the Obama/Sorteros, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. They're replete with corruption. So we're not only getting this unbelievable Ephesians 3:20 wealth, but we're also getting the purchasing power, because we believe, and I say we, our team, believe that some point this summer, as we come out of this and we be restored to the republic that we should rightfully have always been, there is going to be a stock market and a housing correction. And that's going to allow us to have, again, the wealth and the purchasing power. So we're not going to be upside down having this wealth, having to spend or overspend exorbitant amounts, because we won't have central banks lading interest and penalties and closing costs and all this other self-approved nonsense that should have never been. You know, you can get back to having God and having the man as the leader of the house and the family, and having a single one-person income living off of that. And housing prices will roll back to where they were decades ago, so that we're really right-sizing and correcting all of these atrocities and injustices, as Rob pointed out, are just pure and simple abominations.
The global financial reset is underway and happening now. The battle rages on with competing parallel systems. The current deep state Federal Reserve Central Bank system and the system President Trump and team has developed. While the dawning of the golden age is upon us, we are presently in the danger zone through the reset transition.
Join me and my prominent guests every Wednesday live at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on JMC Broadcasting's backup Rumble channel on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Sign up for JMC's free weekly war report, including notifications of when the Global Financial Reset Show is published. The future is bright, and it belongs to us, not to the global elite.
Global Financial Reset. Only from JMC Broadcasting.